But seriously, why are thousands of adults across the globe lining up, waiting online for hours in queues, refreshing frantically, and paying 5 to 10 times the retail price just to get one of these? Let's talk about the psychology of the Labubu craze. First, Labubu wasn't born in a boardroom. It actually started off as a sketch. In 2015, artist Mr. Cussing Long started off with a doodle of a wide eyed woodland creature that was part mischievous goblin and part woodland sprite. At first glance, it was quirky, but it was actually psychologically packed with, we'll call them Trojan horses of emotional triggers. Labubu taps into what we call baby schema: big eyes, a small frame, round, soft features, all of which trick our brains into feeling protective and affectionate over this thing. But beneath this cuteness is something else. That grainy kind of sketchbook style. Does it remind you of anything? To me, these harken back to the kinds of creatures that lived in the margins of some of the bedtime stories I read. You know, the one with the kid wearing a crown yelling at monsters? Yeah, that one. And then, as Labubu shifted from sketches to toys, a whole new force kicked in: scarcity. Once it became more than art, it became a tangible memory you could hold that was incredibly emotionally sticky. Another component that makes these toys such a hit is what we'll call retail roulette, also known as blind boxes. When you get one of these, you never know which figure you're going to get, and there's always one ultra rare variant, so opening one feels less like shopping and more like spinning a pastel colored slot machine. This randomness creates a dopamine loop: chase, reveal, repeat. And then social media supercharged it. Unboxing videos, rarity tier lists, and trade hauls started to flood Instagram and TikTok. It turned collecting into content and content into status right about the time that it reached its tipping point, which is when Blackpink's Lisa chimed in. When a global fashion icon casually flexes her Labubu shelf, you don't just create demand, you validate obsession. But underneath all this, one of the most brilliant things is that Labubu didn't stay niche nor lose its vision. It went high fashion and started collaborating with brands like Vans, Coca-Cola, and even luxury houses. That crossover reframed the item from a collector's toy to a cultural artifact. And on top of this, psychologically, started to cue what we call signaling behavior. In other words, owning Labubu doesn't just mean you're in the know, it means you're in the right know.